All right, we'll get started. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please rise for the flag salute, if you wish. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah, so already here, guys. Okay. All right, roll call, please.
Mayor
Here.
Moved again.
Here.
Mayor Caucus. Mrs. Passio. Here. Mr. Ranieri.
Here.
Mr. Lobenstein.
Here.
Mr. Farrell.
Here.
Mrs. Kelly. Here. Mr. Booth.
Here.
Mr. Wood.
Here.
Mr. Bayshore.
Here.
And Mr. Law.
Here.
Oh, there you are. I didn't
Law's
see you
here.
yet.
Beside that, here.
Okay, statement, public notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act is given by the clerk in the following manner. One, posted on the bulletin board in the Borough Clerk's office on September 19, 2017. And two, emailed to the retrospect and courier post on September 19, 2017. First order of business we have is Resolution 17-136. Is a resolution certifying the governing body has reviewed the 2016 audit and recommendations. Bob, do you want to elaborate any of that? Because we have there's two ordinances here. There's the resolution adopting the corrective action plan also. Just want to let everybody know what happened.
Thank you, Mayor. We had an exit conference on the 15th, I believe. That sounds right, Friday the 15th. And we heard from our auditors. They said our financials are...
You want to start with the microphone?
Oh, sorry. We had our exit conference. The auditors gave us
Turn the volume.
The auditors gave us a financial report, told us where we were, and in all cases, we are doing very well. Obviously, we need to watch things like our surplus going forward and how we use it, and our budgeting going forward. But all in all, we are in the black, which is good, obviously. As far as the findings were concerned, there is one. During the transition between myself and the former CFO, we found there were some things that needed to be supported as far as the financial numbers, meaning supporting documentation. So we were able to, Greg Anderson and Joyce were very extremely helpful, as well as the mayor on investigating a lot of this. We were able to provide the documentation to the auditors, and we are current. However, the finding in there basically says it was not done timely, and it was not done during the year of audit. So that is basically, as long as we do it well going forward, which we do intend on keeping it up to date. Things like fixed assets was one of the items. The compensated absences being kept track of. And health benefits reimbursements. All those things are being kept track of now, but during the year under audit 2016, they were not being done timely. They are, again, being done now. We are up to date. So assuming we continue that throughout the year of 17, that finding should go away. And that basically is what the finding is. And then you see the corrective action plan, which states basically what I just said. But now, anyway, that will be filed with the state upon your approval. We'll go up with the rest of the documents for the Any questions?
Well, everyone will get a copy of the audit when it's all finalized.
It's in everyone's file.
It's in everyone's files. I don't know if everybody checked. I walked right in here. It was in there. I mean, I think the audit, myself, Mr. Ranieri, Ms. Kelly were there. We listened to the auditors. Mr. Law was there. Mr. Anderson was there. Ms. Pinto was there. It was good. I mean, if you remember, if everyone looks at it, you'll see our trending is going up. You know, one of the things is just being on time with things. That's always an issue, just staying on time. I think it was positive. So what we'll do is, so this resolution first says that everyone has reviewed it, or at least the governing body has. So is there a motion for 17-136?
I'll make the motion.
Second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Ranieri, second by Ms. Passio. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly. Yes. Mr. Lobenstein.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
Mrs. Passio.
Yes.
And Mr. Wood.
Yes.
6 ayes.
All right, this resolution is adopted. So resolution 17-137 is the resolution adopting the corrective action plan of the audit. I think there's a copy. There was a copy in here. It basically says that we're going to do things in a timely manner and things like that. So is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Ms. Passio, second by Ms. Kelly. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein?
Yes.
Mrs. Passio?
Yes.
Mr. Root?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
And Mr. Renier?
Yes.
6 ayes.
Okay, that resolution is adopted. So now we have resolution 17-138, which is a resolution regarding employment. Hopefully everyone knows this. This was regret, the new firefighter that we hired. He was on 2 lists. We got him first, but then he stayed in a job back at his original employment place where he came from. So it's a shame, but so we have a resolution accepting his resignation as of October 1st.
Freddie told me right away.
Take it off Facebook.
That's okay. It's okay.
Good thing I made that meeting.
Yes. Is there a motion to accept his resignation?
I make that motion with much regret. I really feel that he was going to be a valuable asset to our fire department. So I accept it with regret, make that motion with regret.
I'll second that motion.
I'm very disappointed. Let's put it.
It's okay. It's the way it works. So we have a motion by Ms. Kelly, second by Ms. Passio. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein?
Yes.
Mrs. Passio?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Mr. Root?
Yes.
And Mr. Renier?
Yes.
All right, the resolution is adopted.
Face one more.
Now, there's something we forgot on here that we have to take care of before we move on. Is we'll need another resolution. Mr. Wall's temporary appointment is expiring at the end of this month. We have started the process to look for a full-time position. Mr. Wall's been helpful in helping us look through some of the names. We've started preliminary meetings. We met one gentleman the other day, I think we were very, very happy with. The idea was it would go to the next level, committee and the council to look at these people. And there are a couple other ones, we have a couple names. We still are looking at a potential shared service. We don't know how they work out. But we do need to, I believe we should at least reappoint Mr. Wall for another 3 months, until November, December. 3 months, right? At least get us to the end of the year. Do you think we should can we do 4 months in case we have to do the audit, or not the audit, the annual financial? It's not a big deal. You're fine with that? We are losing our payroll clerk at the end of this year. I mean, there's certain things that are changing. But maybe we stay until the end of January, at least another 4 months, just to make sure we can do our filing on time. I think Bob's come in, on a part-time basis. He's been there for us. He was at the Borough Hall today for several hours already, helping us out with some things. So I think it's been going pretty
So
well.
this would take him to the end of January?
To the end of January, in case we have to file, and in my personal opinion, I think it's a nice transition too, even if I don't know, we can't necessarily appoint 2 different people, but there's nothing to say you can help the transition for a new employee.
And what is this, and what is Rob's position now? He's acting?
He's acting CFO, and I don't know if we threw an administrator in there. He's helped out a little bit.
Yeah,
I think you did.
we
I
did.
think we did. Well, it's come in handy when
Trying to
there's,
get out of
he's trying to get out of it. But it would just be the resolution would be appointing for the next 4 months as acting
Heading on
CFO.
17
Can we do that now?
Yes, we have to
We
because
make
it's
this
appointment.
clear, acting
CFO,
and business administrator.
yes.
Just exactly what you have, just to continue.
Just a continuation for 4 more months.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, any other discussion?
No regrets, no regrets. No regrets, Bob.
Okay, motion by Mr. Ranieri, second by Mr.
Lobenstein?
Lobenstein. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein?
Yes.
Mrs. Passio?
Yes.
Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Mr. Root?
Yes.
And Mr. Renier?
Yes,
Yeah, and we appreciate everything you're doing for us, Bob.
Thank you.
absolutely.
Yeah, thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, so on a new business, something that I'd like to try to resolve in a more permanent way. The chief isn't here tonight, but Halloween curfew is something we do every year. Is there a way for us to just do it once and be done? Is there a logic why we do this every year? We have to decide what the curfew is.
Because I think it's probably the function.
I think that's what it is.
I'm guessing, I don't know.
Yeah.
I
So,
don't.
Exactly.
Can't we just say October 31st?
Well, it's always, but, you know, the curfew on a Monday night might be.
What do you think?
different,
I mean-
But it's a curfew on Saturday. That's all.
Anything easier sounds better to me, I mean.
So,
It's just there is
Yeah,
a
Bob,
shade.
Bob.
Mr. Wood, I think, that if it's a Saturday or a Sunday, you're gonna different.
The Friday or Saturday is.
It might be different.
Yeah.
Because you're not worried about school kids. That's-
So,
that's my guess.
okay.
Tuesday this year.
so all we need is look at our last year and obviously coordinate it with the activities that we have, work with the school when they let the kids out, and we'll just pass it again. We'll put on, it'll be on for next meeting for the
The
council.
October meeting.
So please look at what we did in the past, and if there's any other
Yeah,
considerations.
yeah. For the
Obviously,
school.
for the schools and for the, the Halloween party.
We've done it the week before, it's usually what we do, the whole week before, up until Halloween.
Is that what we do it up until?
That's what
The
we
hours
do.
were, was.
Unless there was an issue, one year there was some kind of an issue, I don't know.
Yeah.
One of the problems is the idea is to have them off the streets before
Right, and
it's
then we
dark.
want them over at our.
I don't, is it 7?
Can you just say the week of Halloween every year?
It's like 8.
And we want everybody to come to the party.
Our party starts at 6. At 6.
But it usually ended,
And
church
usually
ended at
ends
7.
Usually ends at 7.
All are welcome,
Start
all are
party at
welcome.
7.
Party's at 7, the party starts at 6.
Curfew ends at 7.
Curfew ends at 7, typical.
But the party starts at 6.
Okay.
Was
So
it
you
that
guys
way?
decide and
It's
talk
always
about
been
it.
that way, yeah.
It is early.
Yeah, it's always been that way.
Well, we're there early
No, I mean, the
All right,
curfew for-
so you guys got to deal with that, the committee.
Yes.
Okay, the second thing is resolution for the I-676 Battleship, New Jersey. Mr. Farrell brought this, a resident in town, and
Thanks,
also
Bob.
one of our, Mr. Del Sordo sits on the board of the Battleship, and they're looking for municipalities to help support to change the name of I-676 to Battleship, New Jersey. So
Between the watershed and Franklin.
it's a council decision, it's only a resolution, we're not actually turning it and changing the name, but it's just,
Because it's a federal highway.
it's a federal highway. So,
You know, they add on top, you know, there's this.
Oh, like they do Veterans Memorial Highway and all
That's
that. That's fine. Whatever they want to do is fine.
we support it, it's all we're saying, we're just saying it's, we don't,
Yes.
Do we need to make a motion?
we'll do that at the council,
Can we make a motion for the 21st century version of it?
please. She wants it done on a, not a typewriter.
I do a little much
It's
happy.
been typed,
It's
there is
okay.
no word version.
That's all right.
Oh, wow.
So if everyone think that's a good idea, we'll have a resolution to go around and we can do it at the next meeting. A letter thanking the Runnemede first responders. That's just the communication that we got. It was another positive of what happened. A gentleman, I think, was saved also. Property maintenance bills, Mr. Walzunk, I think at the end of the year now, we have the grass cutting pretty much coming to an end. This is the last round, do you think they're going to get another round?
The way the weather's been, we might have another round. So we were out, we had 6 properties on Saturday, we have another 4 that tackled this week.
We kept it all in-house this year, didn't we?
Yes.
So if everybody recalls, last year we had to sub it out to a third-party company, and
That's all.
it was a lot of work. I think we were able to do it this year.
Who's got it? You guys are something on DOT. That's a better way.
It's better than better than subbing out. in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
I think so. So resolution canceling a tax interest over $10. This was, what was this one, Joyce?
This was TD Bank, a check that we deposited that was from TD Bank, it was another resident. They sent it back and didn't pay it because they said that they couldn't find her account.
They said the account didn't exist.
Didn't exist. And it turns out when I called, the woman came in, I called the bank, they made a mistake. So they took away the $25 charge that they charge us for non.
They made a mistake. They must have typed in her number wrong.
Correct. And so now the interest on her account is more than $10, so you guys have to approve that.
And I think it's a legit.
Go after TD Bank for the $10?
Well, it would have been on
I'm
time.
going after TD Bank for $10. Every $10 I got out of
I know, they get it from it. All right, so then ordinance creating position of assistant tax clerk. I don't believe everybody saw copies of this, but this will be sent to everyone. Tax collector payroll clerk, sorry. So what we have is, we have a draft ordinance that we'll give everyone, but just to tell you what the duties are. Under the New Jersey Civil Service Commission, those duties include, but are not limited to, assisting in the administration of the tax collector's office and other related duties. And then secondly, payroll clerk shall perform all payroll services, prepare all necessary payroll reports, and shall report to the CFO, the administrator, or the clerk as defined by the municipality. So this is the new position. We had it created because this is more of a classified position. The woman that we hired has a tax collector license, so she'll fit into this position, which is also, civil service has looked at this, right? This title is approved.
That is a civil service title.
This is a civil service title.
Not the payroll clerk, though. That I don't know.
Assistant municipal tax collector.
Assistant tax
Assistant
collector.
tax collector. Assistant tax collector.
That's it. So we'll do first reading and then second reading, and she's gonna start, I think, October 16th. That shouldn't be a problem.
And she's replacing Anita, she's retired.
Planning and Anita leaves the first week of December.
That's the next one, yeah.
Okay, is that the next
It's
item?
right into it.
Okay, so that takes care of that.
Yeah, so we'll do first reading, and we can do second reading at the end of the month. Okay, while we're on the end of the month, the October meeting is the 24th, am I correct?
Is October meeting the
It's a
24th?
week- Because it falls on Halloween, the last,
Okay.
So we move it,
so we did
Yeah,
move
so
it.
you could, I will do first reading next week, and we can do second reading on the 24th.
and that's enough days.
Yeah, Tristan's gonna do it.
These 10 days?
Right, you're all right with that, right? Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that'll take care of that position. And then an ordinance setting the salary range for the above position. The woman that we've hired, her salary is $45,000, but we must in our ordinance have a range, and I think the range was, Joyce,
I suggested 35 to 60. I didn't.
that gives us a window so we don't have to keep changing it every year. One of the things we talked about,
What do you think, Bob?
I think it was Len and maybe Bob had said, if at the beginning of the year we have a salary ordinance that gives the ranges,
Yes.
we don't have to keep changing it
I
every
thought
time.
that's what we did.
We've started to, but we don't have everyone's title. They're not all, put in,
It's not all one ordinance.
it's not in one ordinance.
And then we just made this title?
And we just made this particular title.
We made it, just did it, I did it for it.
We created it.
So it's created, and you have somebody who does it.
So then we're okay with it. The 35 to 60 gives us a $15,000 swing both directions.
What?
In the ordinance
Yeah, it's a
creating
little
the title,
back there.
it says they report to the clerk, the CFO, the
Or-
administrator. Can you put tax collector in there too? Because she'll be,
Oh, she's under the tax lien,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, no problem, I mean, I thought
Okay.
that was, so, yes.
Yes, a tax collector.
Maybe assistant tax collector.
You're okay with her starting on October 16th and before the 24th, second reading of the ordinance?
Well, that's what I was asking, because he says it's okay.
Well, the appointment resolution, as long as it has the salary.
It has the salary and the date.
I'm okay.
So ordinance setting the range is taken care of. Appointment of the assistant tax collector payroll clerk. Did we already appoint her?
no, we didn't have the position created, so.
Oh, I guess we have to appoint her afterwards then. Okay, so then we'll appoint her, but I think we've already have an established salary for her and when she's going to start. The next thing is retirement letter from Anita Martin. So Anita basically has now formalized her retirement. We'll, hopefully the council will accept that, and her last day is it the 30th?
November, I thought
Or
She
December.
has December 1st written on her.
How does that work? Isn't it the last day of the
I don't know what she did with you, Bob.
For pension purposes, it has to be December, it has to be the first day of the following month, but in all, so
It's November.
you retire at the end of a month, but technically for pension purposes, you retire 12/1.
So it'll be November
The same
30th.
thing, November 30th
Will be her last day. and
will be your last day, so 12/1.
But how do I report that to, the head?
Are we doing
Because
this or-
she will then become a retired employee. Is it as of 11/30 or
As
is
of
it as
12/1,
of
12/1.
she will be retired.
12/1?
Say 12/1.
That's needed in the office.
Anita, yeah.
That's good.
What did she put in, what was it, 28 years?
Yeah, 25, I think.
I think it was an extra year. Wasn't she?
20, almost 26?
Yeah, I think it's almost 26.
But Anita's position was, she was the sewer clerk, and she also did, she did tax collecting too, correct?
Yeah, she posted taxes.
She did the postings.
But her title is actually a senior account clerk.
Okay. And then resolution opposing new legislation regarding OPMA, the Open Public Meetings Act, and Open Public Records Act. There's a new legislation that's coming out there, and some of the information in the open meetings, some of it is positive, I'll be honest, I don't know if everybody read it, but some was positive, but some was negative. And so, in the current form, I don't think it's a beneficial, no, they're talking about the current proposed form. What are you gonna say?
Nothing, I was gonna say, we ought to adopt a resolution that says stop adopting laws that don't affect the
And that's part of it. They exempt themselves. The legislature loves to exempt
Is
themselves.
this the county or state?
This is the state.
They're just telling us to do.
The state imposes stuff on us because they believe in
You
transparency.
get a letter, you just put it on there because you got it, right? Just routine.
Well, yeah, I read it, and I, once again, I didn't like 100% about what they said, because I think some of the stuff is positive. So for example, well, if the stuff is online, if it's accessible to all the people online, you can direct people to the online accessibility. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that would speed things up and take some of the pressure off the clerk's office and different office.
But you can't do that.
We can't do that now. But in the new legislation, they say that. But in the same words where they're saying go online if it's available, they're being more aggressive in attacking, I hate to say, whoever the custodian of records is. They're basically saying if the person doesn't do it, throw them in jail. So it's kind of goes from one end to the other end. And it really has to do with elected officials, in my opinion, us putting more stuff on our website, more stuff out there.
Well, also you're number committee.
And then the other one was on the Open Public Meetings Act,
You would have to have minutes.
Minutes for every committee meeting.
Of every committee meeting that you have.
which would be difficult.
They tried that before.
It's very onerous.
I noticed something on our new website
A couple years ago.
where it says Oprah or something, doesn't it?
Well, we have Oprah for people to fill out forms.
That's
They
Right,
ask for
it
stuff.
was very, very obvious. It's-
No. The point though is to say someone wants to look up all our minutes are online.
Correct.
All of our resolutions are online. There's no reason to make a copy that's online. So the new legislation says,
Go to,
go online.
yeah, go look at.
So that's positive.
Mhm.
But the negative is they want any of our committee meetings all of a sudden have minutes. And now we'd have to have a secretary to do minutes and draft it. So when the three of you get together and talk about the Halloween curfew, which we're
State
not
mandate,
voting on.
State pay, that doesn't apply.
What's that?
State mandate, state pay, you're gonna pay someone to be there?
Well, that's the argument that there is a statute that says that if they do something like this, they'd have to compensate us if there was a cost, which they tried to not do.
Tried, they failed.
So I think it's, once again, I think there's things that could be changed for the positive, but the way they write these laws, I don't know if you ever read these things, they're awful. They're awful. So if everybody feels it's the same, it's a resolution, once again, it means nothing, it's just Runnemede saying that we think that it's the legislation as proposed.
Onerous.
It's not positive.
It's onerous.
And then another resolution urging legislation to extend a 2% cap on police and fire arbitration contract awards. I sent everybody a PowerPoint presentation. I did a webinar today, which was very interesting. Basically, the League of Municipalities, the counties, and the Conference of Mayors all basically feel that this 2% arbitration cap has had very positive effects on the negotiating between the police and fire. And the biggest part is that we're not going to arbitration as much. And the reason is that it was leaning so far to the police and fire that they would just go to arbitration, and they pretty much won almost always. With this new cap on there, the most they can win is 2%. So the argument, because we have a 2% cap, we can't raise taxes more than 2%. So the argument is, if we can't raise taxes more than 2%, we can't be compelled to give it 3, 4, 5, 6, 7% salary increase. And the arbitrators used to just do that. If you ever looked at previous arbitration cases, it was. So the PowerPoint I sent all of you, if you look at the timeline of the years, and this is public information, I can get it out there, you'll see that once the legislation was passed, the arbitrations just fell off to a point where we went from 86, did you see this? It went from 86 down to 8. Because there was the councils and the police unions negotiated and came up with stuff instead of just saying go to arbitration. And then the arbitrators would just award whatever. And so it's positive. There's a lot of, the only negative about it is we're in a election season, so nothing's going to be done before the election. And the front runner to for the governor's race hasn't made a commitment on adopting this. And the current governor is willing to sign it, but the legislature's not willing to do anything. So we're in this limbo land, and it expires on December 31st of this year. And they'd love to get it in beforehand, but they don't know. The last time they extended it in 2014, they made it retroactive because it took them 2 weeks to get it done, so they retroed it. I just think it's positive. I think we've shown in the contracts we've done lately, it's been positive negotiating back and forth. There's been no threats of arbitration, at least on the police and fire unit. But remember, That's binding interest arbitration, whereas if we go to arbitration for one of our other units, it's not binding, correct? We have the ability to appeal it, but with police and fire, because they're not allowed to they're not allowed to strike. They're not, even the government, they're not allowed to strike. Government, so that was why they do that. It's a very positive thing.
So this is just for discussion, and these resolutions or motions will be carried out on the general meeting?
If we do it at the general meeting, we pass these resolutions, they ask us to send them to the legislature, so that they at least get it. Does it mean anything? There's 565 towns, Runnemede is 8,400 people.
But this will be on the general meeting, right?
It'll be at least, we put on the record that we think these are positive things,
Okay.
that they should change it.
I think it's a good idea.
And then the last thing is the public hearing on ordinance 1711 regarding salaries for police captain and sewer plant operator. Didn't we establish those?
We did first reading.
Oh, we did first reading.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the public, so we're done now. Was there anything else on the agenda for, does anybody need anything for next week to be put on?
You got to do the fence ordinances?
Oh, I apologize. Len, you just want to take that over for me, and since you know that a little better, or?
Keith was concerned that we have two fence ordinances, or two ordinances that deal with fences. One deals with swimming pools and fences, and one just deals with fencing. So two ordinances that deal with fencing, one deals with swimming pools and fencing, and the other one, which is a whole separate thing, and the other one deals with just fences, like hole types. And there was a little bit of confusion about what you had to do, because the swimming pool ones are under the uniform construction code, but we also have an ordinance that says if you're gonna put up a fence, you gotta get a zoning permit. So I amended the two ordinances so that there would be clarity and continuity within them. Yeah. You know, with consultation with Keith, so it was the way he needed it, so he could be consistent for him to be able to enforce it. So if you're putting up a swimming, the short story is if you're putting up a swimming pool, you're going to get a construction permit under uniform, and you're going to get a zoning permit.
And the reason is that we just had an incident where someone put up a swimming pool, put a fence around it, put the fence on someone else's property. And what would have caught it would have been a zoning application, because they would have submitted their survey saying that they owned so many feet from their house. And it didn't get caught until, of course, after the fence was put up. And so Keith's argument was, had the applicant put in a survey, they would have seen that they needed to be on their line, and they accidentally put it on top of their line. And I think the second one is, we had an incident where we don't require people to get a construction permit, or we don't want to always make people get a construction permit if they're fixing a fence. We had a property on Phillips where they had two pieces of fence that were broken, and they fixed it with two pieces of fence. The problem was, they were cited for not getting a construction permit. Well, it didn't make any sense, because they only really just, it was two pieces of wood. They pulled the two pieces and put it up. So this ordinance now will exempt people from construction permit if it's less than 25% of an existing fence. They're not moving it, if a post is broken or if a fence is.
They would have had, if a post is broken, and this does happen, they would have had to have a construction
Yes.
permit.
Now, granted, guys, this has been around for decades.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so,
So what does a construction permit and a zoning permit cost? I have a swimming pool.
$165.
well, it says here, I'll read it real quick for the one. It says, fences placed adjacent to sidewalk shall not be closer than 2 feet to the edge of the sidewalk. The permit shall be required for where the fence is installed in a new location or replacing an existing fence. Replacing an existing fence shall be defined as replacing more than 25% of the existing fence within a 12-month period. Because we had another gentleman say, well, I'm just going to do 2 sections, and then I'm going to put 2 sections, and I'm going to do 2 sections, and do 2 sections.
That was fun.
So, but under the ordinance, he could do that.
Each one of those did not need any permit, because he was just repairing everything.
Yeah.
That's why Keith wanted to buy it.
And the permit and the fee is $65. But remember, what this does is it protects somebody. That person just put a fence on somebody else's property. Whose fence is it once they put it on somebody else's property?
The other guy.
It's the other guy's fence. So the other guy can,
The other guy owns that fence now.
it's on his property.
Oh, gee.
So, am I correct on that statement?
So my property is my property.
So, for the $65, they will be protected by us saying, this is your survey, that you put it on the survey.
And I'll change in here, there's, first of all, the word and, where it should be and. but in front of the two words permit in that last paragraph, I will put the words in.
Yeah. And then the last part was the fact that swimming pools were not, once again, required to submit a survey, which makes no sense. The survey should show where the fence is, where the swimming pool is, once again, that it's not on someone else's property, it's not too close to someone else's property, things like that. So this is just Keith identifying a problem, and once again, it's backwards. The problem already occurred. And now we're,
Sometimes you don't know the problem until you have a
Is
problem.
that a place too?
anything under 6 feet.
6 feet is our standard ordinance, then you've got the rules for swimming pools. Now, the swimming pool one kind of joins.
To the uniform
It's got its
construction.
own thing, but the uniform construction, but now we're also making them comply with our general fence ordinance, which requires them to do this.
Yeah.
So you flip back to that.
But the universal code says, remember, you're in a pool, the fence has the lock, the gate has to be a locking gate.
Has to be so high.
It has to be so high. So that was a separate ordinance that Chris was enforcing. And then Keith was only enforcing when people were just putting fences around their house. So that takes care of it. Safety, can't argue safety.
No, never argued.
And then, what was the last one? I don't think you have this one. But Joyce was at a meeting, and this is interesting for discussion, is how, you know how we constantly, every meeting, we're always issuing raffle and bingo licenses?
Oh, yeah.
There's some of the larger municipalities do it in such a way that it doesn't have to come in front of us. That there's no reason for us to approve these every single time. If we, in our ordinance, basically say, what does it say?
Well, the paperwork
The
is
clerk can issue the light.
The clerk just issues it.
No, the clerk sends it, in other words, if somebody comes in with a raffle license now, I have to wait for a council meeting.
Oh,
for
yeah.
you to
Right.
approve it. This way, you wouldn't have to do that. I would take the application, but it looks okay, send it up to Scott, and,
That's it.
when you approve- and that's it, there's no
Yeah,
way.
there's
you
no
can-
more every month.
But you have to pass an ordinance to allow that.
You like that? Is that what you want? So you know how you say paperwork in order? We don't have to do that anymore.
I would suggest one addition to this,
Okay.
just for your own sanity, put in there that at the subsequent meeting of council, that there shall be a report of all of the conditions.
okay.
So you guys know, so if someone down the road says, and you go, well, you know.
Okay.
So
Right.
it's not your approval, it's just an information
Yeah,
thing.
so they'll get their approval faster, we're just reporting it.
I think I sent it to you to look at.
He did, he's just saying,
I got it.
Oh, you did, okay.
Yeah, that would be my one suggestion.
so we could just say have a report at every council meeting, so maybe as our list of reports, we just say,
Yeah,
3
this is
raffles
speed up the
were,
process.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
You wanna keep this?
Great.
Yeah, because I'll be doing this.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
well, that's what I'm trying to say, whatever we can do to make things easier, like I said, that's why I brought up the Halloween curve. Is there a way for us to do it in a way that we don't have to keep, make it simple? So I thought that was possible,
Keep it simple.
keep it simple. Was that it all in the ordinances?
3 to 7
Possible
was
too, if you want to do it.
No, do it now since we're talking about ordinances.
The two,
So we're gonna do this in October?
Yes,
If you want to, yeah.
Yeah, I would like to get this done in one and done.
we'll put it on the agenda.
Yeah, put on the agenda for October, and let's pass this
It's a,
ordinance.
yeah, it's a 2 reading thing.
Yeah. Ordinance amending.
Okay. Bob?
There's two resolutions I'm looking to get put on next week's agenda. One is for the submittal of the DOT application for the roads we selected. And the other one is going to be hopefully to award Elm Avenue once we get bid this Friday.
Okay.
So those are two.
So we'll add them on there, did you guys, do you want to tell us what the?
I can talk
Did
about
you have
that
the
later.
report? Okay. All right, so we'll add those two. So we'll add these 3 ordinances. Is it 3?
Are we gonna do all the ordinances?
4 ordinances.
Or
4 ordinances, 2 resolutions we're gonna add.
Mayor, I went into the best practices checklist.
Oh, with that on.
So I don't know if you do it by resolution here, or just do it by approval, but it needs to be addressed.
Well, we usually briefly go over it a little bit. Is that something that, even if you want me to read it,
Yeah,
or summarize it?
I won't be at the next meeting, but I will definitely have a report to you.
If it's just a summary and either Joyce or myself can read it.
We haven't done it by, in resolution in the past.
Just by motion or something?
Just by, I don't even know if Rich did that.
Well,
I
he used
think-
to just put it up on the thing.
Yeah, but is it a resolution, though?
No, there wasn't, Rich always said that there was no, all he had to do was show proof that it was actually.
Yeah, that he said it at the
Yeah,
meeting.
is that
What
correct?
do you do? Do you do a resolution? We can do a resolution.
Yeah,
I
can you,
have a resolution.
can you send me one?
For Woodbury, and we'll just do that this one.
Can you forward that to me?
But we still go over it, is your point. You go over it briefly and then pass a resolution.
Well, you remember we used to do the PowerPoint?
Yes.
And it was good, it was good to see what was going on.
That's good.
Elm Avenue and Broadway, what are we doing down here? What is it?
It's on the list to be done.
It's been over,
It's behind
The apartments.
the apartments.
And, yeah, we're involved.
The DOT, because it touches the Piper's Pipe. DOT typically funds roads that are touching state roads. So we're fixing that road.
Oh, okay.
Right
We
now.
got free money to do it. Why?
Well, I'm just wondering about other streets that we use a lot more than Elm Avenue and Broadway.
We'd have to use our own money for those, most of
Okay.
those streets.
We put the.
That makes sense.
We put the application in Elm Broadway, but we didn't get enough money to do Broadway. So right now, our plans show Elm from Smith all the way to the dead end where it goes in past the apartments and ends in.
Well, Elm's right in front of the,
Does that include a street sign? I'm sorry.
Elm is in front of the RY, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But Broadway wasn't enough.
Right, we don't have enough money to do Broadway. and that's
But
not-
Broadway's the one that touches the state highway.
But it got us our application, got us our money to do what we needed to do for the condition of the road. And we have bad drainage in there, and we have to put some handicap ramps in.
Okay, so we're fixing some things.
To get traffic from the ball field to the while we need some handicap ramps.
And that bid opening is this week?
It's Friday. It's Friday. How about a parking lot? It's not, parking lot's not part of it. It's not part of the road.
Put a sign up, hold on.
Okay, so resolutions, so now we're up to a couple of resolutions. You got all that, Joyce?
3 resolutions for.
A resolution for DOT and a resolution to award Elm Avenue.
And then a resolution for best practices,
Okay, well, I got it down the bottom.
and then the, all those,
We have all these ordinances
the
too.
resolutions for the,
4 ordinances, right?
Yeah, I'll make the changes and resend them to you.
plus the ones you already have on. Okay, we will go around the table. Ms. Patsy, you want to go first?
Sure, I'd love to. Let's see. Okay, yard sale's coming up this Saturday from 8 to 2. Rain date would be Sunday from 8 to 2.
How many people signed up?
Right now, in the beginning, we weren't going to have registration because our website was under construction. Please check out our website. It's a beautiful website. And there is registration online now. So if you want to register, you can go online. And we have 65 that did register. If you did not register, you can still do the yard sale. So please don't think that you cannot.
And there's no
There's
fees.
no fee, absolutely no fee. So it's free to all our residents.
And you do not have to register.
You do not. You do not have to register.
Does registering allow people to see that, can they look and see who actually are putting things out?
Yes.
Okay, so
This
pages
right,
register.
yeah, this is a whole list, and what's going to happen on Friday at 3 o'clock, Harry you'll be able to go online and you'll be able to actually download the list if you like.
Great.
So it'll be not just for us, it'll be for our neighboring towns,
Yeah.
and so you'll be able to see. But just ride through our town and see how beautiful our town is, and I'm sure everybody's gonna be out there. It's also on the signs, the LED sign, what do you call those signs, those little?
Oh, the school signs,
School
the
has it. If
electronic
you look-
message boards.
You look at the electronic message board, thank you. Downing, Bingham, and Mary Volts has the townwide yard sale there, so they're advertising that on there for us. It is also on Channel 19, and it's also at Gloucester City News, so it's just, it's on our Facebook page, please visit our Facebook page, so we have it everywhere. Also, we did have the Green Fair. John, you want to talk about that when it comes to your turn? The vendors, I do have to say that the vendors that were out there, Public Works had a table. John had a phenomenal table, 3 phenomenal tables. We just had great vendors that were out there, a lot of information, a lot of learning. We just wanted more people. And we're putting all our heads together to see what we can do to bring people to come out. I mean, we had food. Deluxe Bakery donated huge amounts of cake, brownies, and coffee cake that I passed off to the police officers at Public Works. I hope they enjoyed it. We're just a little saddened because, out of all the residents that we do have, it was a really great time had by all. And I love the packaging of the Clean Communities. Harry, I don't know where you got those, but whoever you got them from, I would like some for Halloween. So we'll talk to Craig about that at Christmas. They were really nice. My granddaughter had fun doing it today.
Greg.
Greg. Did I say Craig?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Lobenstein, I'm sorry.
Mr. Anderson.
It's Greg, yes. Maybe it's my teeth, I don't know. What else about the Green King? It was just, I mean, the Green Fair, it was very nice, but we're putting our heads together to see what more we can do. We are gonna have a 5K run in April.
There's one this Saturday.
Yes, I know, I heard about that. And we're gonna have a 5K run in April, hopefully, and what we'll do is go back to the Harry Williams and supply them with the bananas and some fruit and things like that.
Well,
But
just to
anyway,
talk about that
so-
5K, because 5Ks are difficult. We have
Yes.
one this Saturday, the Rotary and Triton High School.
Mhm.
One of the difficulties is, if everyone saw, I don't know if I emailed it, everyone got a copy.
Yes.
The captain sent us out a plan.
Yes.
The road closures, the amount
A lot
of
of cones,
officers,
a
the
lot of
cones.
cones.
There's a lot of work. And when my son is at the high school, and we had a track meet, cross-country meet in Jersey City. And what they did is they used the park, I think, very similar to like a Knights Park in Collingswood, if anybody's been to Knights Park. And they just went around a couple times. Now, our park is more conducive. I never saw this before because I always think it gets boring to run around in circles, but it actually worked very well for this cross-country meet. They must have had 50 high schools there. And they lined everybody up, shot the gun, and, people run at different paces, and they just, now the older men who were running the organization, they were a little lax, but they did it, they weren't keeping track of who was running around how many times as well as they could. But
How long does this take? Because you just sit there and wait for that last person to come in? Like,
they do, and so these were young, these
Wait,
were
he's
boys
coming
and
2
girls.
hours from now.
They had a clock up there, they had actually 2 clocks, because once they hit the gun, the fastest kid was done in 17 minutes.
Wow.
The slowest kid is done in 35 minutes. That's a long time. The next race was already started.
Oh.
That's 5 miles?
5K is at 3.1.
Oh.
So in our park, that would
You
be,
can do
that would
it.
be 3 times around. It'd be 3 times around our park. What they did up in Jersey City, they went 3 times around. I mean, it was amazing that they did that. So it was very interesting. And my son took 10th, which was
How many
very
were there?
impressive. There were, his heat, I think there were 60 kids.
Wow.
60?
60.
Good.
But there were hundreds and hundreds. And of course, on a typical town fashion, Jersey City had their shredding event at the same time that this race was going on. So my wife and I are trying to pull into the parking lot, and we're in this line, we're going, what is this line for? And we're in the shredding event. So of course, in typical my fashion, I just parked between the 2 buses and got out and left my car between 2 buses.
There was a vehicle line in the shredding?
What they did with their shredding is they had,
Oh, they left it in
they had cars. They would line up, people took everything out of their vehicle, and they just kept driving. Jersey City is a lot bigger municipality than the city of Jersey City.
And just to give you a little information about Jersey City, the cops are not doing anything unless they're being paid. So,
There were none. There were none.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
None at the park. It's funny you bring that
Did
up.
you run by the Hyatt?
Jersey
Go
City,
by the
well,
Hyatt?
they can
No, this was a park, as soon as you come off the park, come off the turnpike, you come right into Jersey City, go over a couple of bridges, Kearney, does anybody know where Kearney is? Once you go over Kearney, and then right there was a park.
That's
It
right,
was
that's
tremendous.
right at the water, right?
No, it was in the middle of the city. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that eliminates having all the police officers, eliminates shutting down roads, and it really compacts it a little bit better. It was not a bad, it really, I'd never seen it before, but like my son's running at Delsey today, and I think they do the same thing around Delsey, they run around the high school and do things like that.
So what time does the 5K start on Saturday?
one on Saturday,
Where does it
7
start?
8:30,
7 a.m. starts registration.
oh, so registration starts at 7
And where's
a.m.
the registration?
at the high school. And then at 8:30, the race starts, and it goes past the high school, down Evesham, and down Davis and back. The problem is, the police don't like to close Evesham Road. But I explained to them, people have to run faster, have to run fast down Evesham Road. And then, but it's tough, because think about how many streets, your street, where, all these streets that have to
She
be
has her
closed.
coffee and watches
It's difficult. It is very difficult to do it when you're running on the roads. And, but it's a great idea. It's not a bad idea. Tomorrow we probably
It's
have
usually
125
over
kids.
in an hour.
Hours are a long time. It's a long time closing roads and stopping.
1 hour, and it's too long?
I'll be done in 24 minutes. I'm going away from you.
Well, then you gotta figure an hour.
And there's
There are
walkers,
things
there's
they can't do
walkers
it.
too.
The walkers
They're
only
allowed
do the
to
line.
walk, yeah.
Oh, walkers?
Yes.
Oh,
They'll walk on the sidewalk.
And
So,
there is programs for people who think they can't do it. It's called From the Couch to 5K. I was sent that. I
Patty,
have not looked at it
if
yet.
you run a 5K, I will do anything you want from me forever. If you finish that 5K,
Do it.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm going to do
Listen,
it.
it's videos.
I'm going to do it.
did you have anything else?
I'm going to
We'll
do
keep
it.
going.
Now, I will talk about the Halloween at our council meeting.
Okay.
With that progress.
Fine. Ms. Kelly?
You heard what he said, okay?
Anything,
You heard it.
anything.
You're on.
I'm just gonna talk about the HIP division, because I went last night, and John came over to me, and he congratulated us on our wonderful loss control report. And basically, he said that his survey revealed strong management commitment and good follow-through by all departments that he visited. And he had no new suggestions for improvement. Unbelievable. Harry, the chief's not even here. But Joyce, this is wonderful. It's wonderful. We've never had such a good report.
She's so excited.
You know, because I've been going.
So this is
now
on the
for-
JIF side, the joint
This
response?
is JIF.
I said
This
that.
is JIF.
So
I'm
we're
not
the-
saying it yet. The HIP is even better.
The boom loop has to make a difference.
The HIP is even better. All right.
I want to hear about that.
The HIP is good, we're getting, all right. So, wonderful, thank you all the departments. For the past 5 years, at certain points in time, I've had to go and hide my head so nobody would see me, or that John wouldn't come over to me and give me grief. So this was wonderful. I was so happy to be there last night. On the HIF side, they are very well off, money-wise. And I believe we got quite a few $1,000s in dividends last year.
We did tremendous on the dividends. And
We're
is
getting
those,
the same amount or more.
but the renewal rates,
January.
they said that already? That means they're charging us too much money.
How much is it?
Sounds that way, doesn't it?
The health insurance,
How much was it?
I don't remember
it's
exactly.
$190,000?
Alan, are you
Have
sending
you got
us
that?
perspective rates?
The minutes?
Did I read that correctly, that they can go down next year, this coming year?
You don't remember?
The way that's the way it looks.
Did you?
They just charging us too
I
much
don't know if
money.
Nick read it that way too.
What's that?
She sent, Eleanor sent us the new rates.
I read the
next year.
rates and they looked like they were slightly less,
Yeah,
just
We're going
slightly.
down. I have never seen.
I think about
They
2%.
charged us
About
too much
2%.
money. Are you not hearing me?
Can you clarify that, Eleanor, to find out if that's true?
Yeah.
That the rates are going down?
The rates were slightly
Yeah,
going
yeah,
down.
they are.
So family was $27,300.
Yes, and
Next
now-
year it's $27,035.
It is going down about, just a small percentage. But
Really,
anyhow,
I mean, that's what they wrote.
Yeah, but
We're getting-
I've never seen it.
After January 1st, you will get a check, and it will be for as much or more.
They've already made that decision.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I saw the budget. I
That's
saw the
great,
budget.
isn't it? Well, we weren't relying on that, were we?
No, it's,
So that would help our surplus.
How much is state health benefits plan?
Bob knows that he hears me say we're getting 190 back, whereas more.
It's
Stay
more,
out
but
of
it's
it.
correct.
But stay out of it also.
Yeah, but guess what? We didn't get it yet, we don't know the right numbers, so we shouldn't be counting the eggs.
I can guarantee you that it will be as much as last
We're not for
year.
18, no
What's
or
the-
more.
They said that.
What's the-
Yes, I was there.
No, she's guaranteed. What's your guarantee, you know?
Second question, since you're talking about the HIP. Was there any discussion about offering other plans for our employees? Has there been any discussion to sit there and say, why are we only offering our employees at
That's
They
$27,000?
right.
do offer
That's right.
other plans.
They do offer other plans. They're not as expensive, but they don't cover it.
Well, that's
Yeah,
okay.
They
We can look
don't
at it.
cover
You
it.
have like a $3,000 deductible.
Yes, the last time I got something, it was a joke. It was 26,500. There was, that they ever seriously looked at it. The reason I bring this up is I was with the mayor of Summerdale the other day. And he's done a different way where he's, you know, we're sort of, we are self-insured through the HIP. He's taking it to the next step. He's actually self-insured at the municipal level. So he's putting money aside to pay for people's excessive, deductibles. See what he's doing? He's throwing the dice a little bit, but he's saying,
Is that
I've
why
got,
he didn't renew his membership?
probably not. because he's self-insuring to an extent.
They announced that last night, they said
Yeah,
somebody
Gary.
there hadn't renewed.
And because Garrett, what he found out is that he's got 70 employees, whatever he's got, a little bit smaller than us. He put in $200,000 and he only paid out 50. You know what I mean? Because of the deductible, and then he
So
made,
they had policies with bigger cutates and deductibles.
but the town took it over.
The town took over what?
They had deductibles.
Right, the town said, we'll cover the deductible.
We'll cover it.
I have a couple of school districts who did that.
They went to a higher deductible.
So they get real cheap plans and then pay the deductibles on themselves.
I've seen that in the private sector, have done that already. They get the catastrophe type of
Is it
plan.
handled, you're hoping that no one really goes into this large
It's less than
quantities?
5.
But you had an organ
Yeah,
transplant.
because
No.
there's still a cap on the deductible.
There's still a cap on the
There's still a
deductible.
cap. Like instead of 2,000, it's 5,000 or 8,000, but it's still a cap. But most people don't, they just don't use it, they don't have to
Yeah,
use it.
he multiplied, I think basically he multiplied all his employees by how much, if they all maxed out their cap. And I'm not saying, I don't know this for a fact, but the way he was trying to explain it to me was, he put so much aside, assuming that he would have to pay all this, and it wasn't really there. So he got the saving on the health insurance side, and got savings because they didn't utilize it the way.
Right. and
Is
that's
it something we'd ever consider?
It's interesting, I'm not saying
So
we're
you're
doing
looking
it.
at it, you
I think it was very, I only talked to the gentleman for a half hour, and I didn't know if it was brought up at the HIF.
But if you look
All
at,
I know is that
70
some of the
employees
employees-
at $5,000, if they're all family, is $350,000. So if you put at least that much away, you can't get burned.
You can't, I don't think, Now remember, we're
But then now you're
spending right
talking
now.
single family, it's probably cheaper.
We're at 90,000, I sent out the insurance bills, did you guys see that? I think it was 90,000 a month we're paying. And, is that what, that's about right, it was 90,000 a month, about $1 million. And 300,000 of it was retirees. You know, Now, the employees are making a contribution, right? We deduct that.
Yeah, I saw you, I asked that, I wanted to see what.
But it's just interesting, because that is a driver. I mean, if you're looking at a $7 million budget, I mean, this number is almost exceeding our money we spend every year on capital.
Right,
I mean,
right.
more money than we're spending on fixing roads and sewers and buying vehicles is our health insurance cost. I know, it's a.
how much can you save by us covering the deductibles?
You gotta do it now.
It's math.
It's not,
Yeah, you got to find out how
Right, so
much,
something
how much
with-
cheaper are the plans to, how much you got to put in the bank.
That's why I'm surprised, I'm not surprised that the HIF isn't raising our rates.
And then it's not guaranteed, it's a guess.
Because they've gone up so much. When Joyce and I, when I first got here, I think we were $14,000 for a family in 2009. We're at $27,000 in 9 years. Did you ever look at that? You know, we've almost doubled. It's obscene.
but go look at the, look at insurance companies, P&Ls and bottom lines, they're making money into the bills.
Well,
It's
did you figure,
it's ridiculous for a guy like me to have to provide for my guys, and I do.
How could we?
It's outrageous.
It's
did you
outrageous.
figure what you save on each plan is less the deductible than it's worth?
Yeah.
So are those plans $5,000 cheaper?
Well, that's the point. When I last time I asked the head for numbers, they gave me these nonsense plans. Like, instead of what I would say is a high deductible plan, like you said, $5,000-$6,000. You know, but then their rate should come down, $10 grand. And then you do the math, okay, I'm saving
But
10.
You can't look at this 1 year. So let's assume in your example,
You can't.
we take the 350 and we set it aside. Let's say we save 300. And we spend 150,000. Well, next year we only have to put 150,000, but we're still saving.
Saving on free, yeah.
Because that becomes a fund, we just keep replenishing it, not fully.
That's
having
what the
control.
fund does. That's what.
Well, that's
the
what
fund
Gary's
does.
told me, that's what he's saying, that this is what we would do if we went
Yeah,
down.
that's what the fund does.
We should consider it.
It's interesting. Gary Sharp, I don't know if anybody knows him well. He's a full-time full-time. But he's a business background, Wharton School, he's a businessman. He's not completely, he's on, might be on an island every once in a while, I guess, just to play where he say things. So that's the only thing I thought about the half when I thought. But the bigger issue is, and not to take too much on this, is when we're talking to our employees, what can we offer our employees to incentivize? Right now, they have skin in the game. We have employees now paying up to 35% of that $27,000. So now, in the past, they were paying $260. Now, they could be paying as high as $9,000 towards that plan. So they have some incentive to maybe cut their costs.
And the public works guys who negotiated with them were anxious for us to be able to give them optional plans so that they can look at it. And they're not those guys who are paying $9,000.
No.
But still, you know, because they're younger people for the most part, and probably use less services for the most part. So they don't have a lot of expense for copay stuff. So
They'd rather save it in a weekly
they'd
paycheck.
rather save
Yeah.
the premium money and have a higher copay deductible because they're not going anyway with frequency. And and I said to them, well, you have to do an analysis to figure out what you used what you spent last year in copays. And what are you going to save if you take this plan? And you might find that if you're going to save more than you paid in deductibles, in which case it's an easy decision.
I just think
But we
they
had
have-
nothing to offer.
Then the HIP needs to start
Yeah, we
doing
do.
it. Then the HIP needs to,
Our plans.
but they're terrible.
We didn't,
Oh,
It's kind of like
we
saying,
didn't get anything back.
yes, we have a $5 copay now, and then it went to an
Yeah,
astronomical
well, as I
amount.
said, when you do the
None of them are
$20,
interested.
which is way reasonable, or $25, and the significant savings in premium, significant.
not so much on that copay as on the massive out of pocket. That's where the real savings are. When you do
And the
this,
prescription
the
copay.
$3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000. And it was very interesting, but the HIP has to start offering this stuff, you know? Because I'm telling you, what they offered before was really, it was like white, off-white, and, you know, slightly
Oh, I
off.
agree.
It was, yeah, I mean, that was what they offered. There was no choice. But that was interesting. Was there anything else at that meeting, or?
No, I gave Joyce the letter that's gonna go out to the retirees. Aetna is taking over their prescription and their, all Medicare Advantage on it, it's gonna be, through Aetna. And, the other thing was,
The tech.
yeah,
There, apparently we can get additional insurance if we want to purchase it for, I guess, cyber insurance.
cybersecurity, $10,000.
But if you meet criteria,
It lessens it down to about,
you can, so I'm going to give it to Jeanette to look at to see if we need any.
So you're saying if our firewall
criteria.
fails and we have
If
some
get somebody
expense to fix
hacking
something?
And they do the ransom.
Don't we have a
thing.
cloud?
We do, but we've had even situations here where we've lost some data and we had to re-enter it. We had something in the urban fire company, they had a problem, and they had
Well,
to
if you
re-enter
have
a lot of
insurance, you
reports.
get paid, you know.
They
$10,000
don't-
worth?
Problem is that the deductibles, our deductible right now is 30 grand. So,
That's
for the jet, but I
Yeah,
mean,
but that's to get sued, not for an incident, 2,500.
2,500 for the incident?
For instance, for a traffic accident or whatever, it's 2,500.
2,500.
That's if you're sued, you have to.
who's the 30? We can look into it.
She's going to.
Or other towns,
I am. I have
the
this
school
here.
districts going to it. Any grants, have you heard of that?
We're doing.
You're doing it? What Ray's doing?
What are you doing?
We're in a Trico joint insurance fund, and we have, that whole GIF has cyber insurance.
You do.
Similar to what you're talking about. They're establishing it at $10,000, and if you meet certain criteria, it'll go down.
Oh,
to
same
It's
as
the same
this.
thing, it's the
It'll
same
go down to
thing.
5,000.
I'm gonna give it to our IT person, and let her take a look to see if we need any.
So if you do certain things, they lower your rate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Good.
there should be an analysis of everything that you have, and the controls you have in place, and basically it's trying to prevent people who go in and steal your data and then put it out there on the World Wide Web. And if it does, if there is a leak, then this insurance will help that, because you have to contact all the people, you know, if their social security numbers got out there, or credit card numbers, they have to do all that. It's a lot of money.
We should definitely do it.
$1,000 easy.
Absolutely, we should definitely do it.
But- And if we meet the criteria, it's not
It's
gonna
even
cost
less.
us $10,000.
Yeah, we can reduce as much as $7,500 by, if you meet any of this.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll meet it all,
Well, we haven't had any incidents in our JIF, but it's still good to have, because obviously if Target and all those big corporations can get hit, anybody can get hit.
There's no reason, yeah.
All right, that's good.
Well, that's enough.
Anything else?
That's-
Okay, thank you. Mr. Ranieri?
Well, thank you, Mayor. Bob stole my thunder. But I'll just reiterate a few things. The findings that were minor, that are already corrected, our rating didn't go up, but didn't go down either. We still have an A1 rating. That's basically it in finance. I wanted to talk about the Green Fair. Patty's right, we need to get more people out there. We talked about this. We had a Green Fair meeting the next day. We pushed to have the meeting the next day, Green Tea meeting, just so that we could kind of analyze what happened, because we do want to have a better showing of some way. No one's gonna come. It's, no one's looking for to learn how to make compost, or learn how to recycle that well. You gotta get them at an event that we already have and put this stuff at the event. And we've come up with, I talked to Harry about it, I didn't talk to the chief yet, but National Night Out, 300 people, we could set up right in front of Harry Williams, where we were. And they don't use that on National. We have all those people. They would love to get the education.
They're already there.
Should we consider that?
Yes.
What do we have to talk to anybody, or should we just make it
I
happen?
think make it
Just make it
happen.
happen.
Consolidate
Do we
and
need a vote,
function. You already got.
or is it a done deal? That's what we're doing next year. Everybody agree with that?
That's gonna be our table.
So there we go. We've got tons of people, and now we can just make it fantastic, a little bit better, and everything's good there. Okay, that's great. Thank you. Harry, can you get a couple of guys over to bring the water cooler upstairs, the water cooler, and bring it down here? Everybody, I don't know about anybody here, but everybody's looking for water. We could put it in the judge's
The
chamber.
judge's chamber.
Can you make that happen for me? All right, that'd be
We're not
good.
upstairs.
Excuse me.
We're just wasting it up there.
Oh, go,
All
sorry.
right, can somebody
See you, Joyce.
X out of the program?
It's recording us?
It's recording.
Just show me how to turn it on. You know how?
That's why I did
Just
that
find out
plug
and
over there.
put the mic them up and say, do you really want to
Okay.
exit? Can you?
This way we'll have water next for our next meeting.
Thank you.
And
Thank you,
cups of
everybody,
water.
for
All right, so that
for
makes
doing this
sense.
for me.
Is it
See you,
full?
Joyce.
Is it full?
It will be. It'll be made.
Look, Joyce, be careful
Um,
driving.
Christie's
Let
going
me
to
look.
drive since I don't feel well, so.
Oh, okay. We talked about, and Bob, I want to talk to you about this as well. We talked about the Green Fair, the Green Team having some funding. And we're going to take it out of the, is that what we're going to do? We're going to take it from Clean Communities?
Bob said the clean communities and the green fair and Salem all comes.
Well, we just got to know that because that money was targeted and used in other places.
Well, we have to be conscious of.
Can we be
Using it
conscious
for,
of $1,500 will be for the Green Fair or the Green Team? Could you make a note of that? Okay? Right?
You only get 25%.
And you did a great job, Harry. Harry came to the Green Fair and
Oh, we
it
had
was awesome.
chickens and
Oh,
everything.
He's the chicken man, he's the chicken lady.
Here's the thing, let me explain you something. We have the content. We have the content. We have a good program to put on. We just gotta get people. So, thank you. So we resolved it,
Every day I
right?
was in Jersey City.
And outside of that, progress.
Okay.
1,500
Mr. Lobenstein, anything exciting?
So we say
Nothing
1,500
exciting.
for the
Um,
green tea?
Yeah.
One thing, I'm not sure about this. I noticed on our ledger for the summer rec program, we had $9,000. We gave the school $2,700. What do we do with the rest of that now?
In November, we do transfers.
Okay,
So
so
departments that are short or overfunded or need money, that's where we move things around. What were you thinking?
I'm not, I just know the money's sitting there and.
Yeah, in November, we do transfers, right? Am I correct to that, because you're always gonna have people who are pushing something off or overexpending.
Yeah.
Certain things
Don't
were.
you dare look at me.
I'm saying that would be to transfer the money over. Like her
Yes.
department typically gets hit on a lot, everything kind of falls into public events.
Yes.
So if we buy a picture for the wall, it's considered a public event. It is, I don't know why, it's been our thing. And then Clean Communities tends to grab money, we tend to grab money out of Clean Communities to pay for, right, the sweeper blades and brushes.
Yeah, 25%.
So we can transfer it, I mean, that's the thing, and, we could do those things, I mean, Bob, we're not quite there, yet. We're there in another month.
We do need something for the family.
That would help, so I can drive by the fountain and see it work.
Yeah.
Something to fix it.
Why is it always broken? It's always clogged. There's too much crap in our lake.
That's the problem.
Well,
We need to
other
grab
places
out of the lake.
have
So
that.
we need to fit the apparatus on the bottom, right?
What can we do, Harry?
There's another screen that can be put on there, but the company actually says that it's a waste to purchase a screen because it's more of a maintenance issue. So our contract this year is they've been coming back every 3 weeks and servicing the fountain. Okay, that's been part of our maintenance contract, which is worked out, but they do start to fix it, and then 2 days later, then we get a bag in it or something like that from a rain event. The whole Hirsch Lake and everything, we need to get a study done and actually start from the top of the input, work all the way down to it, work on the dredging proposals, everything else that way. It is filling in through the sediment coming off the Caucus River. Okay, that's where the debris and everything else is coming in from the state, the trash and so forth. we tried pulling out as much as possible, we tried heading it off.
Have you tried to screen?
It's a long
Have you tried to screen down by Clemsbridge Road to grab the trash that comes off
Quick
the?
fix.
There was screens in the thing, but the scrappers have taken it on the state property and notified them to come put it back on. They haven't done it because
They
keep
stole
taking
the
it.
screens.
They take the screens out. So
What?
yes, it's a nightmare. But we have to look at the big picture of what we want the lake to be in 10 years and step it back and start, because right now, if we just go out and do anything, we're just throwing money because we're putting the cart in front of the horse. So with that, that's what we have to get together this winter, figure out what we're gonna try doing with it and enhance the lake that way.
That would be nice to concentrate.
It would be
So
nice.
on
It
the
would be
lake.
nice if we could use it again.
It's a bad PR thing right now. Can we just take it out and put it in the winter? I mean,
What we do, it does come out.
I know,
Yeah.
but we got it.
You know,
No, why take it out
Harry.
now?
Because
I
we're
don't want to
getting-
say it, it's not
It
working.
doesn't
work.
Well,
The
well,
light's
are we
not
gonna
in
fix
there.
it?
Right, the light's
The
not.
light's not working, they still didn't get the part for the light.
Pull it out then.
The administrator of the Facebook page gets quite a few.
Why don't we just say we're pulling out for the winter and then
That's
clean
all.
it for repairing?
So you're.
I may have not listened, I'm sorry, I was talking over here, sorry about that. But the fountain, you saying it's getting clogged too quickly?
Yeah.
John
Okay.
can fix it.
Maybe. How, when you pull it out, can I look at it? And I'm sure you can come up with the same solution. I've seen people make a long trough that would take 15, 20 foot to get clogged.
Well, we have,
Underwater. What is getting clogged? How much area? What is
The
this?
inductor itself is getting clogged from the grasses and the trash that's coming through.
I understand. How big is that area that gets clogged?
And there's a screen they make for it.
Right.
Okay, it's a pre-screen, it's $980, but the company advises not to waste the money for $980 because the screen gets clogged.
And you have the same problem.
Because you have the same problem.
there's just too much crap coming in.
There's just
the
too
way.
much.
You see what he's saying? The issue is not the fountain. The issue is the water rushing down too quickly, sediment being brought down too quickly, and debris being brought in there too quickly.
So
And
how-
as the lake is getting shallower, it's also causing us a problem.
How shallow is Lake now?
3 foot.
It's not terrible.
It was, it was, a couple of years ago, it was the deepest was 5.
It was fine. So it's going to be lost that much already?
Wow.
All right. Was there anything, so we talked about transfers. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
No, nothing else really. I'm good.
Okay. Mr. Root?
I'll let Harry, we're just, getting ready for the fall, basically. The guys are still out cutting grass. I think it's gonna be a little longer with grass because of the heat. So it hasn't rained in a while, so that's helping. But as soon as it does rain with this heat, they're gonna grow again. So we're probably gonna have to continue cutting grass.
When's our first leaf day? Yeah, that's good. That's
When
in
do
the
we
report.
start leafing?
Wait for his report.
Okay.
I'm jumping ahead.
So the rest I'll just give to Harry with the,
Mr. Brown?
all the dates.
I don't have much to report. Washington Avenue at Eastham and Lindsay, we're waiting for the top coat on that. The guys did a great job down on Lindsay. They took out 3 trees and on over by Eastham, they took out 1, and the sidewalk, everything looks great. The guys did a great job.
The only thing we did talk about was the resident, if you remember when we did phase 1 of this project, we took a tree down and we promised her to put a tree back up. I think we talked about putting all 6 trees that we took down back. The question is what type and where should they be located? So we're gonna look, we need some good advice. I know that a lot of, between the curb and sidewalk's not a big area in that part of town. The one woman that you and I talked to, she was okay if we put it on her property. So Len, what does that mean if you go on someone's property and plant a tree? We have to sign a little something saying that we can just go on there and plant a tree, and then it's their tree.
That's the authority to plant a tree on their property.
And then it's their tree. Yeah. So I think that's something we need to talk about, what type of trees. So we need about 6 trees that we need to do, and I don't know if that's a public works job, or if that's we bring something in and plant a little, I have no idea, to tell you the truth. I planted trees on my own house, but, I planted them too close together, I found that out after they grew.
Do we have, I'm sorry, do we have an ordinance on where leaves are supposed to be when they're, like some towns have ordinances where the leaves are supposed to be on, in between the sidewalk and the street, on that street?
we're supposed to be there, but we let people put it out on the curves because it's easier to pick it up. Is that right, right? You're not allowed to put anything in the curb line, but it's tough.
In other words, we really have to be above the curb, not in front of the curb.
No, we're not,
Yeah, but you can't block the sidewalk either, so it's, where do you put
we're
the
not,
legs?
we're not, yeah, it's that much harder.
And it's only for this short period of time when we're collecting these. We don't want people putting stuff in the curb line during the rest of the year.
You have an ordinance that stops it at 10 feet from any limits.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's another big issue.
What was that,
We don't
10
want
feet
10 feet from the.
Like down where you are, all those leaves, you have all those inlets,
Yeah, we don't want anything to go in there.
and they just fill up with leaves. So, all done?
No.
So, yeah, so the only thing to figure out is these trees, we'll take the trees.
It's not done.
Oh,
We're waiting impatiently to start the second phase of Borough Hall.
don't you have a meeting, is that tomorrow, Thursday?
When is it? Let me know.
Friday.
Right.
Pre-con meetings this Friday at 2:30.
Okay.
Okay, the second thing, digital sign, I think we really got to jump on that last meeting, we said we're going
Come on, man.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
I'm waiting on, I can't do the job.
I know you did.
So what I'm trying to do is get some numbers so I can give it to our QPA to look at.
How did the
I'm-
schools do it so fast? They got it done so fast.
I can't say it.
Shoemaker's shoe.
I can't say it.
Will our signs be better than, I can read.
Think it better be good.
I'm not saying anything about somebody else's product, but we are going to do our due diligence to get a good product that's going to satisfy us for a long period of time.
See, that's really.
No, we're not going to disparage anybody else for saying,
2017?
I thought it was.
easy guys, easy, public meeting. What else?
All right, last thing, we talked about the traffic light study, I think we should go ahead with the 4,500 or 47, and just, I think
We'll
that.
do it in next year's budget. Did we say that in the last meeting?
Yeah, we did say
Okay.
that, but.
Well, here's our problem.
Just reiterate.
We just talked about that we're overexpended in public events. There's no money in public works
I
other
found
than
$6,000.
we can't do transfers until
Green
May.
team needs
Are you
1,500.
paying attention? What date can we do transfers?
November.
November. What's today's date?
I don't care.
Parks and Recs wants to do a study on their lights.
You're talking about the money.
Summer rec wants to do a study.
Is it 3 lights? Is it the Evesham, Clemens Bridge, and then Third?
No.
What
Well,
light?
Third Avenue could use a delay or something.
What's the study gonna be on?
Third Avenue's already
It
covered.
was already, it was just Clemens Bridge Road and Blight and Easham.
Yeah.
Just those two.
Those two.
Yeah.
We'll wait till we do our transfers, see where our money goes,
Okay.
right? Mr. Lowell's very conservative about our money. We have to keep this
Thank
up.
you,
You know, I'm
Thanks, Bob.
looking to buy a new squad. I gotta buy a new squad.
That's a capital,
That's gotta be-
it's in 2 years.
Ma'am, we're
Don't
first.
get- What do you mean, 2 years?
Yeah.
It's, well, 18, 9 comes in 19. Anything else?
Here,
Hit me with this.
let me give you another little bit here.
Oh.
I got a request on, our equipment that, Freddie is evaluating the value of everything that's 15 years old over there at the firehouse. And they're looking at, yeah, you read that. And they're looking at those old pieces of equipment to see how much they really want to, if God forbid something should happen to them. So it's imperative that we get some new equipment. because Everything that's over 15 is not gonna be covered as well.
Well, what he needs to do is, when I know Freddie will do this, identify all the items,
We had-
what they will cost, and then
Yeah.
once again, we sit around the table and we pick and choose where our capital expenditures are gonna go.
Committee looks at it and goes from there.
Well, this is really the council. We're doing capital, I think it's all of us.
Yeah.
You know, because you're talking about every department wanting to spend money from roads, public works,
I
you know.
I
What
just
year was the
wanted
Quint
to know.
purchased?
What?
The Quint.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
2 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
15.
there's gotta be a little
But-
time between those purchases.
Well, wait a minute now, wait a minute. The squad is gonna be 20 years old in the year
I got you.
2020.
I know, a lot of things get old.
And everything that's older than.
We'll go over with the capital. Who needs to go? Mr. Bayshore. Since you usually have a lot of stuff, Mr. Wood likes to go last.
You can't help it.
I did submit my report in writing, but even though it's hot off the presses, I have a couple of things to add to it.
All right, the engineer's speaking there. Go on.
First thing, under general engineering, we talked about this, I need a resolution next week to do the state aid application. the engineering committee discussed it. We were looking to do some roads that we just slip lines, so we don't have to tear the roads up if we ever have a sewer issue. So the four we came up with is South Reed Avenue, Chisholm Circle, Phillips Avenue, and Charles Avenue. We're looking to do a joint application, and put all four roads in, and then whenever we get funded, we can pick and choose what road we
Can you
want to
tell me
do.
what they work in, because I'm.
Something that's on the report.
South Reed, Chisholm
Yeah,
Circle,
it's
His
but I
report.
just got it. so-
His report.
South Reed, Shishler,
It's right here.
Circle, Phillips Avenue.
Phillips.
Mark, is there
Charles.
ideas to
Okay.
get partial funding then to follow up with a phase 2, phase 3 if needed?
If needed, we could do that.
I didn't know that.
Oh, he's going on.
Let me have that real quick.
Engineers.
I'm gonna jump in real quick. I'm gonna pass something around. This is a highlighted view of all the roads that have been slip lined so far in town. You can get a good idea and a good understanding of the percentages. Just make sure it gets back to me.
That's nice. Okay,
Thank you.
That's great.
Pleasure.
So,
What
well,
were those streets again?
So the report. First paragraph.
very first check.
Oh.
And although,
Boy, Eleanor, what are you good?
Mr. Bob, just make sure I speak louder. Quicker.
I don't need the resolution until next Tuesday, but I would like to get a consensus tonight so we can start the application. So I don't know if we can just have show of hands or how you want to do it, but unless there's something else we want
I
to
think if
consider.
it's a good, all those roads are where you just explained, it's where the slip lining was, and it's a good application, right? This is
Yes.
a good application?
Yes,
We need good applications, because I saw paragraph 2 where we didn't get.
that's correct.
That was a
Getting
bad
to-
application. I think it was our fault, really, it was. I talked to Jack Schmiesel. All right, so is that the committee's recommendation? Who's on your committee? Patty? And that's it?
Yeah.
Mike, you good? Ruth?
Yeah.
Okay,
John?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's great.
okay, so we'll start the application.
Absolutely.
And I'll give Joyce the info we need for the resolution.
And you'll let them know that we slip lined it, you'll let them know we did all that stuff. Great.
And this will be for October.
Next Tuesday,
Wow.
next Tuesday will
That's
be
gonna be
the.
a long meeting.
Second bullet item, we got word that the open space did not get funded for the VFW playground equipment, so you're going to use total borough fund for that, unfortunate.
I think there was 17,000, Bob, in a recreation fund that was left over from Green Acres. I'm hoping that we can, it's worded in a way that we can fix this piece of equipment. There's no way to make that piece of equipment work, or we have to actually remove it. There's no way to get parts, there's no way to fix it. There's no way to salvage it.
It's gonna cost you just as much or more to have the parts retrofitted and make the inspection than it is just
So
to
it's
replace
not
it.
worth
Yeah, because you got 2 to 3 different brands in one, and that's where it's not making the codes now.
Are we buying the same brand now for all these parks that we have? Are we starting to buy the same pieces of equipment? Like, you see what my logic, and you buy the same?
No, the Green Acres is two different equipment.
And that's two different manufacturers too, yeah.
Two different times.
As long as you get the as long as you got one manufacturer for whatever you're installing, you can still get the parts from them for that.
Well, I think we have 17,000, we'll have to look at it.
Can I ask a question? Because we talked about this before. Somehow we became, were we fully responsible for this?
Mr. Wood, in his
VFW?
report, will report that he has been talking to the owner of this property. This is the VFW park.
Right.
So the VFW park, we're gonna hope that'll become borough property. And then this 17,000 is what we're talking about to fix that park.
I understand. Do we want to own it? Do we want to own it? It's more overhead.
Yeah, well, we've already maintained it.
We have to.
We have to own it. The only reason it was in somebody else's name is it just wasn't done properly.
Okay.
We've been maintaining it, and we're fixing the equipment you just heard.
It's just near the VFW. They have nothing to do with it. Is
It's
that
just
right?
always called
The
VFW.
VFW.
Okay.
They don't even know it. Actually, the property on the front owns it.
Who owns it, did you say?
The sports outlet.
We'll show it that, everybody else's time, not my time.
Okay.
Page 2, Elm Avenue and Broadway, hope to have a resolution to award that next week. The bids are coming in this Friday at 10 a.m., so hopefully we get good results for that and be able to award it. The ADA hallway and elevator at Borough Hall, the pre-con meeting is this Thursday at 2:30.
Thursday?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you said Friday.
That bid opening is Friday
Oh, the bid is Friday,
for Elm.
okay. Oh,
The phase 2 of this Borough Hall project, the pre-con meeting is Thursday at 2:30. Adam from our office set up the pre-con. He was supposed to check with Joyce, and I forgot to ask Joyce, but Charlie Rowland wanted to be there, and I confirmed that Bob Harris from CDBG will be there. Bassett Avenue drainage, last meeting, Len mentioned something about one of the homeowners had an issue with their dock. We're in the process of revising that. As soon as I get that, I will get that to you. And don't pay attention to the typo in there. The apostrophe doesn't get picked up on the spell check. South Oak and Washington Avenue project on page 3. The change order work was done, as well as processed all the change order, but we had the approval for the resolution. Sidewalk, as Bob said, was done, looks great, everybody's happy out there.
Very nice.
Payment application number 1 says I received it, and reviewing it, it's been submitted through email, and I gave Joyce the originals, so
Just needs to be paid at the October meeting.
it would be nice.
You gotta remind me that. I'm not center.
A new item that's not on there, Bob mentioned we're waiting to top pay. The reason we're waiting is South Jersey Gas would like to update their main.
What?
Their main is, we hit an unmarked riser out there, so it was a gas leak. So when they came out to fix it,
Unmarked riser in the street or?
In the street.
In the street.
so they're looking to replace the pipe because it was installed in 1929 as bare steel pipe. They want to replace it with plastic. They're trying to go through their engineering department as quickly as possible. The fastest it's going to happen is within 2 weeks. So we don't want to top pave until they replace their pipe. The unfortunate part is, part of that goes under the section from Haverford to Ardmore, which was paved, and we're under moratorium.
Well, can we
So they're
make
looking,
them
they have.
curb to curb?
They're looking at what their options are. If South Jersey Gas generally jack and bores, and they only have
Small
openings
holes.
every so often. So they're looking at the cost of doing the infrared patches versus a half a mill and overlay. If they can stay on half the side of the road, they're looking at. So they're trying to evaluate their costs right now. So I just want to let you know why there's a
That's
delay
good.
in the top paving. The contractor is ready to go, but we don't want to top pave until this gas issues are resolved. Page 4, parking lot site plan. The new sinkhole developed in the landscape area, corner of Black Horse Pike and First Avenue. Landberg will be on site this Friday at 7 a.m. to start digging it up and try and find out what's going on. We think there's a bad joint in our reinforced concrete pipe they installed. They're going to try.
Stormwater drain?
Can't did not confirm that last time we had a similar sinkhole in the same area. It was actually in the parking lot, now it's in the landscape area, but we're going to try to get to the bottom of that. I guess phase 1 of Borough Hall, we were waiting, there were still a few punch list items, and the last thing was, we're still waiting for all the lines to be done, the Verizon, so they can patch the outside wall.
There's no
Same
reason to do
contract.
that, because there's no reason to do that now, right?
Well, it's still gonna be exposed. We'll see.
Okay.
But
Building
we
an
haven't
addition in
closed
front of
that.
where the hole's getting patched.
We haven't closed that job out yet because of other punch list items. I think Karen mentioned some dirt, ceiling tiles. I talked to Adam about getting that resolved.
I have a question.
Yes.
Harry said that it was leaking in 2 spots. Is that true, Harry?
We cannot find the source of the leaks. It wasn't anywhere they did new work.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's in the new festival as you come in. That's all new construction.
There was also a leak on the inside underneath an old window.
Where the doorway was. They put the window in, it's leaking there.
Okay.
So that's the 2 locations.
Okay.
So it's where they were.
Okay. I know Adam was looking at it, and they couldn't find any leaking on the rafter in that area. And he thought we might have some animal issues, but we will look at that a little bit closer. The slip lining project, We're still looking at some videos and waiting on a new video. So there are still some punch list items to address on the slip lining project. So we're not processing any more payment applications till all those issues are resolved. And the South Oakland Avenue emergency point repairs is going to disappear. This is the last time it's on the report because we had talked about a temporary trench repair out there that's been permanently fixed now that Lambert finished the South Oakland Avenue portion of their project. So that's everything that I'm going to talk about, other than the Lux Bakery and pedestrian bridges are still on my list of things to get done, and I'm working on it.
Aren't you yelling about that? All right, so, the Lux, we're gonna be in the winter time again.
I got a quick question, Harry. The pole in the parking lot and the sprinklers for the garden, we got dates on those? The pole?
Yeah.
Nothing?
Were we able to contact anyone from KZNG?
In the SNG, there was an application submitted.
For the pole?
For the poll. So we're waiting to get information back on when it's going to be scheduled.
Okay.
They usually send an engineer out to meet and so forth like that, so I have not had any contact.
Just so you know, that $2,000 grant, we're
We're
getting,
the 15 emails.
so
Well, we're
we're,
not gonna do this till April.
it's time sensitive, but we'll be done before we have to finish that project, right?
Yeah, we have to put we have to spend the money by April, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
And then the sprinklers, is that in-house? What are we doing with that?
They'll probably be handled with our sprinkler company.
Yeah,
Okay,
come on.
but we'll make the deadline and all that? Okay, good,
Nothing?
No, I prepared the deed for the playground,
Okay, to hear that, the deed was prepared,
and I mailed it out to them.
that's what we're waiting for. So we'll take possession of that, it'll come off of his tax bill, and then we'll own it, and then we'll hopefully fix this
I
place.
think-
So less money and more responsibility.
Yes. We were already, but here's a joke.
Progress.
Less
We were
money,
already
same
responsible.
Let me, I'm not sure now.
Less money, same
I might need.
You said something to Mr. Benally, wasn't his name Benally or something like
Yeah, I got the legal description, but I needed information from the deed.
that? You sent a letter, I know you said something.
And I just have to call off the top of my head if I got that information. If I got that information, then my deed's done. But I needed the old deed information to put on the new deed for recording.
If you recall, it makes it hard for us to apply for anything because we didn't own the land. So we're trying
But I'll check.
to recreation grants and stuff like that, and we didn't own it.
That's right.
Last but not least. Oh, he's-
No,
You
no,
wanna
no.
talk- you wanna go last?
I'll go.
All right.
First of all, thank you for the reappointment. The
Regret.
GFOA.
Regret.
A two-year appointment?
That's right. The next 2 days, I'll be down in Atlantic City. There's a finance officers, government finance officers meetings or conference, so I'll be down there for the next couple of days. I'll report back if there's anything that's, what classes that may impact us. So hopefully there will be discussions about legislation and some other things coming. Best practices will be for next week. Just going over it, looks like we'll be okay. Well, probably a couple of no's. Last year we had 5 no's, but we were still fine. They cut the number of questions down from 30 to 25 and made it a little more difficult, but we should still be fine, not have to pay any back any state aid. And just want to mention that in November we'll have a note rollover, so I just got.
I saw that 1.5 million for the sewer.
Right, so we'll be doing a note rollover. I'm not sure if we're required to come back to their council to get approval, or if because it's a rollover, I'll check with bond council and see what they require.
Remember that anticipation note, it was at 1.26% or something like that? Do we go out for bid again, or do they just reset the number?
Basically, we could do it through our bank institutions and look at it that way, or we could put it out to a full-blown bid. I'll discuss with them and see what's best. We also may want to increase it for the recent filed ordinances that we did and add a little bit to that. That's probably what I would like to do because of the expenses that we're spending in those ordinances, so we need to fund that. So I'll probably be adding to that, but I'll discuss that with bond council. I'll be back. That's all I have.
Mr. Wilson?
Leaf season's upon us. We will be doing the schedules same as last year, starting next week. The first and third week of the month will be on the east side collection, and then the second and the fourth week of the month will be on the west side.
Can you
Are
email
you
this to
getting
all of
this?
us?
The email?
Email to all of us so
Email,
we can-
calendar, and I'll be giving it to our Facebook
Yes.
administrator, and it'll be on our
That's been
website.
working very well, I gotta keep saying.
And it will go on our website also.
I've
Okay?
got a few calls about when we're starting.
Yes. With that, I do, public announcement, please, leaves and season, don't put logs, tires, bricks, stuff like that in the piles. We need it to keep our equipment running instead of being broke down.
Send me, where,
I sure will.
I will put on Facebook.
Other than that, as Director Ruth was talking about, we're cutting grass. We've had the landscapers come in, the subcontractor, they overseeded and winter fertilized the first week of September our fields. With this weather, it's actually been great, so we're actually taking advantage of it to get the seeding growing right now with the weather.
Now, is this including the point in this parking lot? Are we looking at all of our borough properties, or are we just focusing on the fields?
Nope, it was all borough properties, I should say, okay? Public Works would like to take a lot of the bushes out back, the dead ones, and we're actually looking at the workers would like to put grass around out back for a focal point of, people coming down Clements Bridge Road. So that's gonna be a fall project we're gonna be looking at.
You're gonna have sprinklers put in?
Yes, I already got quotes for the sprinkler system, so with that, will probably be funding for next year, because we'll work on getting that put in with them. We definitely have it for the island, to redo that out there, the sprinkler, and then we quoted with them to run it around. We're not doing the whole entire area, it's just areas where we'll be putting the grass.
Are you putting seed over there because it's easier to maintain?
Yeah, with the mulch and
grass?
so forth like that, it's not the
Because I'm
weeding
just
and so
saying
forth.
that the bushes that are where we're going to put the butterfly garden probably will need to come out.
We'll look at retransplanting them into the locations where we have. Okay, but with that, it's just the weeding and then cut down on weed killing, so with that grass.
It's very intensive, that parking lot, to maintain,
Yes.
a lot of hours.
Yeah.
Belmar Public Works doing sheriff's service agreement for the sidewalks on Payne and Ida Court. So they're looking at scheduling next week, the following week to come in to do those. So that.
Payne Avenue itself, I've gotten, from people back in there, I've gotten some messages on Facebook, when are we gonna redo that? That's a borough, we're gonna have to retop that.
Yes.
And
So this is a DOT application, but in our bond ordinance for 2018, we can sit down and talk about where we're gonna spend money, of our own money. And
Have you
typically,
seen
it's,
it, Chris?
Yes,
Yeah, it's really bad.
It's bad.
It's down to dirt.
well, some of the intersections again are where we really.
Payne Avenue going back into there, just a little section.
It's only the first three
It's
houses.
that intersection of Crescent.
It's pretty bad, and a lot of residents, not a lot, but residents go back in there, and they're messaging me, and I like to be able to respond to what we're gonna do.
Other than that, progress of Public Works.
Forget it.
Yes.
The truck, the
Let the mayor-
municipalities.
Our new roll-off, our Hope truck, we've had a delay in the receipt of it through two conflicts with vendors that were working on the truck itself. That's been resolved with them, so it is under production to finalize in the next 4 to 6 weeks. With that, we're talking to the mayor and talking to the company so we get some compensation for it. The company is going to letter the truck, do the insignias and so forth on it for the truck, and also with that, Runnemede will be, they asked if they could display the truck because it will probably come in 2 weeks prior to Lincoln municipalities, that they'd like to actually display it down at the lake.
That'll be
Get a
great.
little
That's
PR.
great, that's
So we'll have
great.
PR for the truck and all that.
Oh, on the floor.
It'll be labeled.
It'll be on the floor.
Right?
It'll be on the floor. So,
You know,
It's not obsolete or anything, is it?
The fire company worked these things
Look
out.
at this.
We
horse.
got free maintenance if we let them use our truck on display.
we're
It was- we
receiving
did some
stuff,
great
they owe us,
stuff.
we'll be
They owe.
receiving stuff, and that's part of it.
Are you
Great
going to
stuff.
the-
Yeah, well, actually, I was gonna talk to Director Root, the League of Municipality actually received a letter today. I'm trying to digest it, but I was asked by the League of Municipality to sit on the resolution board to pass resolutions in the league. So it's a meeting on Tuesday and Thursday down at the league.
That's a resolution that the legislature doesn't do anything.
But evidently, I'm trying to follow exactly what they do and so forth like that to be part of this hunt.
But is everybody in agreement with that? Is that, I think that was a decent compromise.
Yeah, I think
Leaf
it's
season is
cool.
starting in a week,
Yeah.
and our leafers not here. And so getting the free graphics on it,
Leaves are falling.
and then advertising it, I think it would be positive for us.
Oh,
Is that
yeah,
like,
it's all
what's
cool.
that, like $800?
At least, probably.
Probably more.
No?
Yeah.
Well, because you've got the big back end and the truck, and then there's the dumpster, right?
And you know what, that's something, you don't get nothing, that's good.
So with that, we have 3 leafers that are ready to go. So we'll be doing leafing just as we've done in the past, and we have accomplished it. So
But
with that,
we'll have it by heavy leaf.
Good job, Harry.
So you think, yeah, like, so November we'll have it
yeah,
for the
we
heavy,
really need it.
right before Thanksgiving is where we can really be.
That's the leaves are,
Right.
the leaves are
The
falling.
next
That's
newsletter.
the way the weather's going.
You want us to put something in there about no, make sure nothing, no bricks sitting,
We're gonna have it on, if you wanna put in a newsletter, but we're gonna have it on Facebook and our website.
Can we make the homeowner responsible if that happens?
That's really hard to do.
Hard unless you see them put it out there.
You can go knock on his door.
I've seen it happen, I've seen, my neighbor, there was a brick.
Why do people think they put a brick to hold the leaves down?
You know why they do it, I'm gonna tell you why they do it.
People drive through.
That's right, because
Oh, they
you
drive
spend
through.
2 days putting all your leaves out, and all of a sudden, someone comes zipping by
I
and,
wouldn't even think of that.
so now someone's, I get it, they put a
I
brick
have
in
a lot of
there.
logs.
I never even think, see, I don't think that would.
Yeah, I know.
All right, is there anything else before we wrap it up?
Flyers.
Okay, so we have good and welfare. This portion of the meeting is open to the public. Anyone wishing to speak, please come to the microphone, state your name and address.
No more revisions.
We apologize for
I was
that.
here yesterday.
I heard you were. We had a crowd here yesterday.
I didn't
Nice
hear
court.
about this one either. I was all ready to come here.
Well, the court was yesterday. It was a little goof up. Seeing no one,
One more thing, just a general comment. Please be very careful when you're replying to emails. Do not hit reply all. Sometimes it's okay, but the safest thing is, if Patty sends you an email, just reply.
or if the clerk sends something, respond to the clerk.
Right, don't hit reply all, because that, in some sense, sometimes can be considered a meeting, could be considered a meeting, it's not noticed, okay.
Yeah.
Just friendly, that's all.
Okay, seeing no one, is there a motion to close the public?
Second.
So motion by Mr. Root, second by Mr. Lobenstein. All in favor?
Aye.
Public portion is closed. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I second.
Motion by Mr. Lobenstein, second by Mr. Root.